All right, hi Abby. Taking a look now at your excuse me, your assignment from week 7. This is of course the major project. So let's get right into it. Get my picture out of the way here. And let's see. So you have written yours in MLA, and that looks good. One minor thing about MLA is that it does require you to have your last name along with the page number up here. So you'd put a Mason space and then one minor thing. Just wanted to point it out to you though. So your title here should be centered and it does not need to be in bold. And then this excess spacing here, you'd want to remove that if you were to fix it. Just remember that everything should be double spaced in your papers. So let's see how your introduction looks here. So in today's fast-paced world, individuals often feel constant pressure to remain productive, and it can feel like we are expected to always be available. Between work demands, family responsibilities, and the growth of technology, stress has become hidden and a new norm in our everyday lives. Okay, so good hook. Not bad job with your hook there. And that kind of alludes to the topic. So that's good. Now we have the introduction to the article. And here you mention it by the title and her name, which is great. She explains how ongoing stress affects both physical and mental health. She writes for seniors and individuals who with busy lifestyles. Foreign readers of stress and okay, so this is good. If your information here to introduce the article and what it's about is good. And then your thesis statement here presumably is this last sentence. Pelusi effectively reaches her intended audience by using an accessible and understandable tone and by offering practical stress management strategies. However, while her advice is helpful, her focus on the individual and how it is their responsibility to limit stress limits a deeper discussion. Okay, so that's good. And that looks like you're including a potential negative about the article, which is very important. And a lot of students don't do that. So I'm glad you got that. That's very good. So, the genre, I can tell the genre by the verbs you use when you talk about Pelusi, of reaching her audience. Focus, she's focusing. What other words you use? Explains right up here. So those tell me that you basically think it's pretty much an informational article. So that's good. That alludes to the genre. Purpose, I think, is pretty clear in your article here, or I mean your thesis statement, everything. However, you don't really tell me who your audience is. So you talk about the audience of the article, but here somewhere you should have mentioned who your audience is. For example, when you say something up here about her writing for seniors and individuals, you might have had your next sentence might have said something like Pelusi's Pelusi's goal is to inform readers about the dangers of ignored stress, and this is something that such and such audience can also relate to. And you could have actually introduced your specific audience like right there, or anyway. I mean, really, that would have been up to you how to introduce it. But you should have said something in here to indicate who your chosen audience is, and I don't see that. So that's a little bit of an issue there. Um, Historical and cultural context. You get the historical when you talk about today's fast-paced world, but again, the cultural context isn't really clear because you don't have the audience. Okay, so I give that a little bit more credit, but still a little bit off for that. Your core idea is good, and especially students are losing points in core idea, especially when either they don't have a core idea or in many cases they did not include that negative about the article. So I've been taking that from the core idea. So you did a good job with that. All right, now we're done with the introduction. Let's move on to the body paragraph. Again, you get a little bit of excess space here, so you want to make sure you double space everything. All right. Pelusi's tone strengthens the effectiveness of her message. She does not use complex medical terminology or complicated explanations. Instead, she relies on everyday language and examples that feel familiar to the audience and show them how stress can be managed. All right, so very good introductory sentence, couple sentences there, a few sentences there. This appears to be your topic sentence. Her tone strengthens the effectiveness of her message. That's the first thing you said in your thesis. So very good. You're sticking with your thesis and letting it drive your article, or I mean your paragraphs. So body paragraphs. So very nicely done there. And then here you say she uses things like get regular exercise, manage your expectations, and then you cite that. Now, since you're doing this in MLA, you do not want the date in here. Date only goes there when you are using APA. So you've got a little bit of a mix up there between MLA and APA, but otherwise, and also the page numbering, this would not be here. So everything that I'm highlighting here would be deleted, and all you would have would just be Pelusi space 12. That's all it really should be. Okay, so just something to remember for future reference. All right, these choices align with the genre of an informational health article. So there you touch on the genre directly, which is intended to educate a broad audience. These suggestions also feel realistic and non. Okay, good. So your details are good, and you provide a source to back up the point you're making there. Looks like you do the same thing in this paragraph, so that's kind of what I'm looking for here. Details with source material to back them up, and you do that. Now your third body paragraph doesn't really provide an example from the source. You say for example, but you don't actually cite anything. So you got some evidence there, but you don't really have any. The evidence is really the sources, right? If you look at here at, for example, if you look here, shows progress toward meeting with errors, omissions, and area for improvement may include using evidence from the text, and including quote. See, it says including a quote from the text, right? So that's what so you do that to some degree there, but you don't have that quote in it. However, you do it in the other two paragraphs, and I'm going to go ahead and give you the benefit of the doubt since you did more than you didn't do. So I'm going to go ahead and give you credit for that. And this would be, of course, your conclusion, and that looks good, looks short and sweet, drives home the main point of the article. Again, it would have been better if you could have talked about about your specific audience and how it related to them, because it's not about her intended audience. When your paper, it's about your intended audience and how they can benefit from the same article, right? So let's see how you did with your second audience. Okay, new audience. The audience for the second draft is competitive athletes, and that sounds very good and specific. So that's much, much better. Includes adolescent and adult athletes. For this version, I will shift my focus from general stress to physical and mental. Okay, so very good. So you did a good job of providing that intermediary there where you talk about the new second audience. And now let's see how you did with your second draft here. In competitive sports, this should have just had a title up here like you did at the first part. So like this title here, analysis of written work for first audience. This title should have been above, and it should have said analysis for a second audience or something like that, right? But not a big thing, not a big deal. In competitive sports, pressure to perform, always improve, and stay ahead is pretty much the normal athletic experience today. Overwhelming training schedules. Okay, very good. Okay, then you come up with, you give the, introduce the article again. Okay, so again, it would have been nice. You don't want to leave your audience. You want to mention your audience throughout. So it would have been good here, maybe even in the thesis statement, to have said something like, she offers practical strategies and lifestyle changes that athletes can greatly put into practice to ease those stressors, or something like that. So that would have been a good place to remind your audience of them, the chosen audience, right? That it's athletes. Okay, so your writing situation is good. Your writing style is good. I'm going to say that's good. Effective for athletes. For example, the article states things like some signs of stress. Okay, again, you don't need this stuff here. That should be deleted. Just have her last name, a space, and then the number 12, the page number for MLA. Okay, you touch on that negative here again. Okay, good. Now, so your body paragraphs are doing the same as they did before. You've got body paragraphs that are making points, backing them up with sources from your from the actual article, quotes and stuff from the article, and then here you talk about what they can gain from it, and what she does not really touch on. So that's good also. And then you provide your conclusion, which looks very good as also. And you do mention your athletes a few times, so that's very good. And then your works cited page, and your works cited page should be right here at the top of the page. Should not be down a little bit, but it should be started right here at the top. Minor thing. Works cited should actually not have the S on it because there's only one work mentioned. But otherwise, it looks very good. So your writing conventions look good. Your communication looks clear. Citations are just a little bit off because you don't really have them done properly as according to APA, but they're good overall. So you ended up with a really good grade. Just a little bit of just a solid A, right? So very good job with this assignment. And Abigail, as always, if you have any questions or need any help or anything, just let me know. But great job.